Okay, good morning sports level 3 students. I'm going to be giving you a bit of a tutorial on exactly what I want you to do for this week. That's been looking at the last 4 lessons and just showing you exactly how you're going to be doing your online submissions. So when you go onto the Moodle, you've got here Unit 9 Research Methods, and you need to be keeping an eye on this folder here, Lee's Lessons. Every time there's new material, I'll upload it on here, whether it's Word documents or PowerPoints, everything over this week and next will be put into here. When you finish any piece of work, I will have a new tab here, which is where you're going to be submitting your online assignments. So this one here is Assignment 1, Part A Submission, and as soon as you click on that, you can just upload your Word document or PowerPoint or whatever it may be. It's ready for me to mark. There is a deadline on this, and it is 5 PM on Friday. So that needs to be submitted. If you miss it, you will not be able to submit it, and you'll be traffic lighted on reds. So if we click into this one here, so Lee's Lessons, you can see all of the material and all the folders that have been uploaded so far. So over the last couple of weeks, we've done here Lesson 1, Lesson 2, 3 and 4, and all the PowerPoint slides are uploaded and all the capture sheets that we've used. You've also got here Assignment 1, Part A, and this is the document that you're going to start to work from. So I'm going to give you a brief sort of overview on what that is and exactly what you need to include to get the best grade. So once you click and download that, this will be the document that you see. So Assignment 1, from high level performance to elite level performance, how research can improve. So insert your name, and if we just briefly scroll down, feel free to pause the video at any point. Everything is done based on the criteria, so you can see exactly what you are achieving on each section. So P1, discussing different types of research. You've got here P2, which is discuss the importance of using research. You've got here M1 criteria, which is analysing the different types of research, and then finally you've got your D1 criteria, evaluating the key issues that impact research. So we'll start here with discussing the different types of research in a sports-based environment. This should be probably the easiest part for you to produce, because every single week, or every single lesson shall I say, we've been using different types of research, especially with our practicals. So all we need is for you to just give me a definition of what research is in sport, which you created your own definitions on the capture sheets, and you're going to go through each of the 5 terms that we looked at. So we looked at primary, secondary, quantitative, qualitative and mixed method research. So explain what they are, give examples, and just make sure that they are very specific examples. So for example, you might want to use the primary research that we conducted in class. So we know that primary research is first hand, you go out, you do it yourself. For example, in college, we decided to take part in does PNF stretching and dynamic stretching impact on explosive jump power. So that would be something you might want to include, and then go through each of those stages. The next one down, we've got P2, which is to discuss the importance of using research to inform your clients and influence their decision making in a sport-based environment. So with this one, we've got here literature searching and evidence-based practice. So this kind of covered 2 different lessons, which were lessons 3 and 4, if you look at your capture sheets. So the first part here, I would say, should be fairly simple and fairly easy, because all you're going to be explaining is what literature searching is, and most of you know that from first-hand experience. So in lesson, you might remember that we went on to Google Scholar, we filtered things by dates, we looked up different search terms, we opened up different bits of research and basically we were just looking at lots of journals. So real scientific studies that have been conducted at universities. So that's what literature searching is. In terms of what evidence-based practice is, it's more about how you apply that literature. So for example, with this one here on lesson 4, we looked at physiotherapists, personal trainers, sports coaches, whatever that job may be, and how exactly they use scientific literature to improve how they conduct their work. So an example might be that with physiotherapists, they might be using certain types of recovery methods, whether it's the standard RICE method because there's evidence out there. Maybe it's the use of soft tissue or deep tissue massage. Maybe it's the use of acupuncture needles, dry needling, as well as compression. There's lots of different things that a physio may choose to use purely because they've done the research and they've looked at the literature that's out there. Again, a personal trainer, just as an example, we might look at, well, how would a personal trainer train one of their clients? And based on the literature and the evidence, they might decide to do certain types of weight training exercises because scientifically they're the best for fat loss. Or they might decide to use certain types of cardiovascular training because maybe that's the best type of training for aerobic endurance. Okay, so if we scroll down to the next part, we've got here, analyse how the different types of research can be used to inform your client's decision making. So on this section, you're basically going to be looking at using applied theory. So we've done this in class where we've come up with a range of different ideas and we wanted to test out a few different types of scientific studies to improve performance. So we've looked at things like the use of mind games with goalkeepers, different types of stretching on explosive power, and how isometric loading can improve your muscular endurance. So what we did is we had a range of different ideas. We tried to try them out, and it's more about the different types of research that can be used. So the main ones that we were looking at was primary research, and we did a range of quantitative analysis. Whereas you need to start to analyse how the different types of research can be used to influence decision making. So think about how secondary research could be used. And we looked at this in terms of football formations and tactics. Maybe you can go into the archives and find that there are superior tactics out there. Maybe there's certain types of training methods that have already been conducted over the last 10-20 years that show that this is maybe how you should be training. And a really good one for secondary research is the use of caffeine. You don't want to use your clients or your athletes as guinea pigs, but there's loads and loads of research to say that actually there is an optimal limit of caffeine. So that's one way that we could use secondary research to change your client's mind. Primary research, where we can go out and conduct it ourselves. And with quantitative and qualitative, what research would you want to conduct that would use that's going to change their mind? So maybe it's psychological studies, maybe it's qualitative, where you're going to look at half-time team talks and how different types of team talks can impact on second half performance or even first half performance. Okay, and the final section that we're going to look at is to evaluate the importance of research and the key issues. I personally think this would be a really easy piece of criteria for us to achieve, because every single lesson we critiqued our own studies. So what we ended up doing is every time we made a bit of research, we presented the data on the board and we started to tear it to shreds. And they are basically the key issues that can impact the effectiveness and the quality. So, things that we looked at is maybe there was not enough people, as we've got here. Maybe the conditions were cold, maybe it's windy, it affected the way the ball went, maybe it's just your levels of motivation. So you really need to sort of think in depth about all the different things that can potentially change the results of what we wanted. And finally, it says here that you need to discuss both the pros and cons of research and evidence-based practice. So what are the pros and cons of going onto Google Scholar and looking at all the different types of research out there? We discussed that it can be very lengthy. Abstracts do not give you clear information. Methodology is quite weak. But the PDFs are 20-page documents that we, necessarily do not have the time to look at, for example. And with evidence-based practice as well, we also discussed in class that is it better to just have the experience, or is it better to actually have the research behind you? So, these are things that you need to discuss and you need to evaluate. So find out what you feel are the pros and cons of research, the pros and cons of evidence-based practice in sport, whether you think it's better to, have someone who is, I suppose, a bit of a know-it-all that just knows the knowledge and information, or someone that doesn't really bother with the reading and the research, but really just goes out there and tries it for themselves, trial and error, which I think a lot of coaches do. So we've got a lot of this on our worksheets as well. But I think the main thing that you need to take away from this distinction part here is that it's how the key issues can impact on the quality. So have a look at the back of those worksheets and have a look at some of those questions, because you gave your own critiques and your own answers there, and that's what you really need to go into detail. But also say why. So, once we conducted our own research, and actually put that in your assignment, say that we conducted primary research and we found that the results were this way or that way, and potentially results could have been impacted because cold conditions. Maybe the warm-ups were not as robust. Maybe we got everyone going together rather than going separately. There was only one researcher, so eyes couldn't be on everyone. There's so many things that you can talk about to critique a piece of study, and that is it. And once you've done that, once all this assignment is complete, you'll go into the research methods folder. You'll click into this one here, assignment 01 part A, and you'll upload that work document for me to mark. And if you've got any concerns or any questions, or you're a little bit lost on any of the particular areas, feel free to give me an email and I'll get back to you as soon as I can.